Welcome to 10 point and click adventure games that you need to add to your A500 minis. Do enjoy, because this took me ages to film. Dreamweb released in 1992, and for me, throughout my entire making of this video, this one felt incredibly different, and in fact I would go as far as to say that this is my favourite out of the following 9 that you're about to see. Dreamweb is a top-down point-and-click adventure game. It takes the form of a cyberpunk kind of vibe, which for me is a blessing anyway, as I'm a huge fan of the cyberpunk genre. Now I'm just going to put it out there for those that are perhaps a little bit prude. Dreamweb is full of dark themes and even features full frontal nudity, and whilst I didn't get to that part of the game, my research has led me to believe that this again deals with very mature topics. So if you're a little bit squeamish or you perhaps want something a little bit lighter, Dreamweb might not be for you. But look at it, it looks stunning. It is actually an AGA game, so obviously we have the enhanced graphics, as you guys can see. I really like this, and I had to include it. It's fantastic, guys. My first one for you to add to your A500 minis is Dreamweb. Lure of the Temptress is a point-and-click adventure game that you guys continually remind me of and talk about, and I did put a thread out asking what are some of your favourite point-and-click adventure games, and some of you did mention this. Unlike Dreamweb, this is a much different point-and-click adventure game, taking the form of a 2D third-person adventure extravaganza. Now, what appealed to me was again the artwork, and I love the addition of AI. You can utilize your NPC here, for example, to break down the wall to progress. You can also interact with other NPCs. You can choose to save them, or you can at least choose to try and save them. See the chap on the left there? I did try to save him, but unfortunately it didn't bode well. Now, I know a lot of you have probably played this, but for those that haven't, this is definitely going to be a bit of a time sinker. It took me a while to get used to, but when I did, I fell in love with the lure and I fell in love with the environments, and I love these little text pop-ups here that just add a little bit of an extra layer to what is going on in Lure of the Temptress. You've got to get it, guys. Let me know what you think of this awesome little title. Do you want to be a pirate? Well, I've got some news for you. If you haven't played The Secret of Monkey Island, an awesome point-and-click graphic adventure game released in 1990, you need to play it, because you can play as Guybrush Threepwood. A little bit of a mouthful there, but Guywood wants to become a pirate and has to progress through various puzzles, encounters with NPCs, environments, utilising the classic point-and-click method of interacting, and hopefully become a pirate. This might be one of the most popular point-and-click adventure games in this video, if not ever. And that's because the reception that The Secret of Monkey Island received was absolutely phenomenal, and I believe it really helped to prop up the Amiga's popularity in its lifespan. So it's a no-brainer. If you don't have an Amiga and you've got an Amiga 500 Mini, this is definitely a title you need to devote your Friday nights to. Police Quest 3: The Kindred released in 1991, and whilst it didn't get the critical acclaim as the previous game, it's actually really fun to play, and so much so that this is my second favourite personal game in this video. As you can see, this is an isometric point-and-click adventure in which you can interact with pretty much anything. You've got your menu bars above the top, which enables you to walk, interact, use, so on and so forth. And I really like the pixel artwork as well. It might not be as gorgeous as the likes of Dreamweb, but for me, this was definitely gripping. I really wanted to progress in my story, and I have been sure to save my game on my A500 Mini so I can enjoy some relaxing time on this game away from my streams and this episode. Now, as this is Police Quest 3, you might be asking, well, what about Police Quest 1 and 2? This game out of the series had the best reception, and that's because the control systems are purely mouse-based rather than having to type commands on a keyboard. So for me, it is a classic point-and-click adventure game you gotta add. Universe was released by Core Design in 1994, and we play as the young Boris. Set in a parallel universe, we need to restore peace. Now, it's not every day there's a protagonist out there called Boris that wants to restore peace to the Earth, but believe you me, in this game you will find just that. Universe for me had gorgeous visuals, and I really like the in-depth text pop-ups that I haven't necessarily found with the other point-and-click adventure games. So if you want a really nice deep story, then I would suggest that you jump on a little bit of Universe. Both mechanics and puzzles can be very difficult at times because if you don't click on the exact point on the screen, it will not trigger what it's meant to trigger. And it's hard for me to explain that. I think you just need to play it for yourselves. But with that drawback aside, and arguably a drawback to many point-and-click adventure games, I think you'll get a lot of enjoyment and a lot of relaxation out of playing this game. It sounds really soothing as well, and it's just another fine example of a British video game company putting out quality content. This one wasn't familiar with me back in the day, but I feel really blessed to actually have found it now, and I am looking forward to diving into it a little bit more. I really like the in-depth menu systems. The second icon in just there was the options menu. If you've kept a close eye, you've already seen it in this video anyway, and it's, like I say, nice and in-depth. And I've really enjoyed the text pop-ups and the interactions with the NPCs. There it is, the options menu. So it's really cool, it's not to be missed, it looks stunning and it sounds fab. As with The Secret of Monkey Island, Maniac Mansion is another prominent point-and-click adventure that ripples through the point-and-click community, and it definitely ripples through the Amiga community as well. And whilst it may lack in visuals, it definitely builds in terms of its story. So it's down to Dave and his crew, of which you pick in the beginning, to infiltrate the mad scientist's mansion and try and save our girlfriend. So as you can imagine, a mad scientist mansion, there's lots of rooms and there's lots of secret nooks and crannies that you need to investigate and get your exploring skills utilised to the maximum. The colour palette is a little bit blah, but we've got to remember that this is the 80s, and I think this oozes charm for a 1980s British video game. I mean, it's packed full of colour, even though it lacks a lot of texture. It's absolutely gorgeous, and I've loved this from being a little girl, and playing it again today, well, whenever I recorded this, it really took me back. Hands up in the comment section right now if you've never played this game. It's okay, you won't be judged, but I just want to know, because if you haven't, Maniac Mansion has got to be on your list. Beneath a Steel Sky. I can almost hear viewers watching this and saying, please have Beneath a Steel Sky in this, please have Beneath a Steel Sky in this, and it may seem like an obvious choice, but it's awesome. It not only looks stunning, the interactions with the NPCs really made me chuckle. There's a lot of kind of cringe-worthy humour, I guess, by 2022 standards, but actually it really does propel the story, and you have to sometimes converse with the NPCs in order to maybe give them an item, take an item, distract them, get them out of a room to be able to steal an item from them. I mean, it is quite quirky, and I think in terms of its difficulty, it's definitely up there for a point and click adventure game. I don't necessarily find this one as relaxing to play compared to the likes of, I don't know, Maniac Mansion, for example. But again, this is just a beautiful example of how a point and click adventure game can captivate you with its story, its characters, its pacing, and its graphics. Zack, McCracken and the alien Mindbenders. Pretty mind-bending to say it, but this is another 1980s banger, and according to the good old Wikipedia, this was originally intended for the Commodore 64, but we got it on the Amiga, and it uses the SCUM engine, which in Amiga terminology is an engine that is rather popular and is utilised today for a lot of the new games that are coming to Amiga in 2022. I can name one, but I won't name it now because I'm hoping to do a little bit of a collaboration down the line. But if you like Maniac Mansion, I think this would be a really nice follow-up for you guys to enjoy as well. Loom released in 1990 and for its age was actually quite revolutionary for its time, and even to this day when you look at the point and click adventure games that are out there, for me Loom is in a category of its own. Loom relies heavily on music, and in particular 4 notes. The notes can be activated or played by looking at different objects within the world. Usually when you activate the objects and you play the notes in corresponding order, it will open something or give you an additional part of the game that is liable at progressing the story. Now that is pretty magnificent. I mean, we're talking 1990 here. It was revolutionary for its time and it still is today. I think that its legacy is long lasting, but I will say this, if you want a relaxing point and click adventure, I don't think Loom's going to be for you. But look at it, it looks gorgeous, and because of its uniqueness, it is in this top 10 list. Cruise for a Corpse should be familiar to you if you watched this gameplay, because you should recognise that the graphics look familiar, and that's because it was developed by Delphine Software, the same dudes who developed Flashback and Another World, but this time things are very, very different, as we are based around a murder investigation and we start off on a ship. There's even a map. Things are getting really technical here, so we basically have to go around checking various doors, interacting with NPCs and trying to get additional information and clues as to what is actually going on. Now, isn't that music just absolutely wicked? I'm sorry, but this game really does pack a bit of a charm in its music. I like the protagonist himself. I mean, the time period, everything about it is just really fun and really awesome. And guys, you've guessed it. I'm saying it again for the 10th time in this episode. That is why you need to add it to your A500 minis. Point and click adventure games on the Amiga really helped to define the home computer back in the 90s, and I think today in 2022
It's helping to define the legacy of Amiga home computers now. And if you watched the entire video, you would have heard me say that I spent a lot of time researching this and playing many different point and click adventures. My favourite ones I picked the 10, but there were a lot in there that just weren't speaking to me. So bear that in mind when you go for your own point and click adventures. Maybe you want to get the 10 that I've shown, maybe you can recommend some additional ones that might have the same hook, line and sinker as the one I showed. For me, Dreamweb was my absolute favourite. I love the whole AGA graphics anyway, that kind of extra colours, extra finesse. I love the story and I found it very engaging as well. So I will be playing that. I did save my game. I actually spent the most time recording Dreamweb for this episode than any other game that I displayed. So that is our 10 point and click adventure games that you need to add to your A500 minis. Please, again, recommendations, hit them in the comments and stay tuned for more Amiga content. I'm going to be doing a retro game hunt as well, so hopefully you can come along and do a little bit of shopping and maybe we'll find some big box PC games, some Amiga games, some more Super Nintendo games. It's going to be fun and I'm really confident. Now guys, if you could help me out and subscribe, that would be absolutely amazing. If you're kind enough, you can buy me a coffee by hitting that join link for £1.99 a month. Thank you so much. My name is Gemma and I'll see you in the next one.
I need a few seconds of your time to tell you about channel memberships. If you guys want to become a channel member, click join from the main page or the second link in the description. There are 3 tiers, all with different perks for you if you want to become a team member. Thanks for your time. Let's continue with the video.